I know all the fellas about to be mad at me, man. They gonna be in my DM. Like, how did you get her here? How is she in real life? How is she in person? Because I'm telling you, Jada Fade is a celebrity. She's a sex symbol, although in real life she's pretty much a nerd. But the fellas, they gonna be really trying to find out how did I get her here. So, but don't be mad at me. Don't be mad at me, y'all. It's just, this is my friend. We go all the way back. Me and Bridget have been married for years.
Beautiful marriage.
Beautiful marriage.
Beautiful children.
So maybe you guys still have a chance. Maybe not though. Maybe
probably
not.
Yeah, probably not. And I don't know weird stuff, but like, yeah. Can I curse?
Yeah, you can curse. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure because I don't want to mess nothing up.
Yeah, listen, we can't have no Jada Fade interview without no cursing.
Because I just have such a potty mouth. It's terrible. It's really bad.
Yeah, but you don't, like, for whatever reason, you don't do it in a way that seems unladylike, though, right? Because there's still a softness to you, and you are very careful with respect to when you use certain words, what words to use. So it's not bad.
Because I don't want to sound nasty. I think it's a difference between cursing and sounding just nasty. Like, oh, you just almost like a nasty spirit when you curse.
I see what you're saying. I thought you were talking about like nasty, like Lil Kim, hardcore nasty.
That type of nasty is fine. But I've met some people who when they curse, it kind of just like sounds like their spirit is nasty. Like, you walk around every other word is a curse word.
Yeah.
I'd be like, dang, what's going on? I really be worried about them. But yeah.
No, it doesn't. It's never sounded like that to me.
Thank God.
Apparently it hasn't sounded like that to other people who follow you and know you because you up in like how many followers you got now?
Well, it depends on what platform specifically. Because it's very different. Yeah. Like they're like astronomically different.
So explain it to me on each platform, or at least tell me how many followers on each platform, and explain to me the differences between each platform with respect to how many followers and what that means.
Well, on Instagram, June Shelton the other day, he just called me out. He was like, your numbers grew since you left. I'm so proud of you. I was like, no, they're about the same. He's like, the same.
No.
Pulls out his phone, and I have 222,000 on Instagram, which I'm very proud of because 222 is such like a meaningful number in numerology. And just
what does it mean?
The meaning of it is like new beginnings and, starting off on the right foot and just abundance and a lot of really great things. Protection even.
Wow.
So when I saw that number on my Instagram, I was like, whoa, this feels nice. Because I try not to pay too much attention to like actual like followers because then you kind of get in the midst of that as opposed to thinking about like the fun of it and the art of it and stuff. But 222,000 on Instagram.
When I met you, it was at like 170 something.
It was, yeah. It actually, no, it might have been less than that. I think when I first met you, I was still probably in the 90,000s.
Serious?
Yeah, I was in the 90,000s.
That was like just what 3 years ago or something, 3 or 4 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, but in comparison though, but let me not compare because I think my stuff be moving kind of slow. I'm still grateful, but I'm so inconsistent sometimes that I feel like it's like I know people who a year ago were at 50,000. Now they're at like 1 million, but they're so consistent and hardworking, and they're constantly posting, and they figure out the algorithms and stuff. And in respect to how the different platforms work and following and stuff like that, something new with Instagram right now is Reels. Well, I guess not so new, but something that's becoming, a very easy way to grow. If you're interested in growing your Instagram pages, is Reels and, tiny short form content that people can watch very quickly because attention spans are low at this point with so much on the internet now. But like that definitely helps with like growing your channel, and that helped mostly with growing mine to where it's at right now is doing Reels now, incorporating that in, because the old format or old formula rather of like, I'm just going to post a video and hope it does well. You really got to utilize those other services like Reels, or I guess parts of the application like Reels, or even posting like a full-on series on there.
Wow. So it's a whole science to this stuff, man.
It's a real science to it. And ultimately, the main thing to think about when you're trying to like grow any type of channel in regards to like the internet at all is thinking about the fact that whatever platform that is, they want to keep people on it as long as possible. So if you're somebody that's constantly pushing out content, they know that if people are enjoying that content, the more of it that you make, the longer they're on their app. This goes for YouTube as well. YouTube, I think I just hit 184,000.
You had none when I met you.
Yeah, I had nothing. And I went, and that was like in the last year, which I'm very proud of, because that, that type of growth for me feels very special, because I feel like on YouTube it's another level of interest in your work. Like, people have to really go to your channel and actually
They
press
gotta
a button.
click that link in your Instagram bio. Actually, go there and subscribe. So that means something. It means that your followers are more invested in you than. I mean, it's almost like, well, hey, I want to see her on every platform. I want to witness her growth. I want to make sure I don't miss anything, and I want to support her that much and take out that
full
time.
on engagement.
Yeah, wow, that's full on engagement.
And there is a difference. Like, if comparatively to Instagram, if you look at Instagram, you can make money. And a lot of people don't know about this, but for Reels, for example, if you're posting Reels and you get 1 million views on a Reel, that equates to actual money if you're monetized on Instagram now.
Wow.
So say, for example, I post a Reel, I get 1 million views on that Reel. I likely have made $2,000 from that, because they have a Reel bonuses program. It's all based on the viewership of that Reel, though.
Wow.
As opposed to, it doesn't matter whether they have now followed you on Instagram. It doesn't matter whether they actually liked it, for example. As long as they viewed it, and a portion of it, sometimes not even the full thing, that equates to an actual number that you're making monetarily speaking. Whereas YouTube, it's a different process. It's per every 1,000 views, sometimes something else, and the amount changes and shifts based on the type of content that it is. Like, if I were to be posting about finance, there's a very high amount, I think it's called CPM, that you get for, the type of, I guess, the amount of money you make per click, I guess, or per view, or something like that. And that's per every 1,000 sometimes of views.
Yeah.
So it's much harder to be successful monetarily on YouTube.
So much harder, but it seems like the ceiling is much higher, possibly. But then on Instagram, when you're talking about just having everyday money to, buy toiletries and things like that, you can just throw a reel up really quick. But YouTube, obviously you put more effort into those.
It's a lot more effort. It takes more time. Some people have a full-on crew, a post-production crew, even pre-production. I know people who are doing YouTube now that have actual writers for their sketches, and they pay their writers, and they have actual editors once the sketches are finished, and a crew that shows up to film it for them. So it's like a whole.
Okay, we gonna get into that, because you talked to me a little bit about that the other day, and it blew my mind in terms of the process and how different it was than just like filming some type of narrative project or whatever the case may be. So what I want to do is take it all the way back, right? Because you grew up on, I want to say, wait, hold on, I'm gonna get this wrong probably. Is Evergreen right?
No,
hold on, let me get this right. Losser, Greenfield, one of them streets.
No,
it's somewhere on the west side.
It is
by Coney Island that you always went to. I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I grew up on 7 Mile and Telegraph specifically.
I got all the streets
right
except
off
for
the
the one
Lodge
that's right off where I live at now.
But yeah.
So who grew up? I guess who was in the household with you? I know it was your father, right? And you got a little sister, or you got a big sister, or a little sister?
I have 6 siblings total.
6?
Yeah, my eldest sibling passed away. Tyreek, my oldest brother.
Yeah.
But it was 6 of us total.
6?
Yeah.
Okay, I only know about one. And
my younger sister.
The younger
Delisa.
sister. Okay.
And there's a reason for that. So my dad's previous marriage, I have 4 half siblings. And that was his previous marriage. And then he married my mom and had me and my younger sister. So that was like a separate family dynamic, which is why you probably have met Jaleesa numerous times and not my older siblings.
Got you.
Yeah.
How was the dynamic in the household growing up?
It was interesting in many ways. I grew up in a type of family structure that was, not unlike many others. It had some toxic dynamics, and, my mom struggled a lot with drug addiction and mental health issues as well. And my father also struggled with his own issues. So they kind of, they divorced when I was very young. I think I was like 3 or 4 years old. And I stayed with my mom for a little bit of time, my dad for the later part of my formative years. And yeah, it was an interesting time.
That's a interesting take on just someone's upbringing, right? Because some people automatically think that if you grow up in a 2-parent household that, you automatically have it much better than somebody who grows up in a single-parent household. But what you just said proves otherwise, is that you can have both parents, but it can be so much going on there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It couldn't be further from the truth. And then you also have situations where, like mine, my parents obviously divorced when I was very young, but I know plenty of people who had both parents in their household their entire lives who are still together to this day, but it was the most toxic union possible. And they've, developed their own issues through watching their parents never leave one another when it's clear that that might have been the best case scenario for everybody involved. So absolutely, that means nothing.
What age were you when your parents got divorced?
Around three or 4 years
so
old.
you weren't fully old enough to necessarily process what was happening or even remember, right?
No, I remember it's crazy. One of my earliest memories, I was edged up in the side of the sofa we had. One of those houses, it's kind of like a railroad house. Have you heard of that? Where it's like, you walk through the door and one way you can go to the kitchen, the other way you go through the living room.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were arguing in the kitchen. I was in the living room, kind of edged up in the side of the sofa. There's this little corner there before you come out of the kitchen door, because there's one way in and another door out. And I remember seeing my parents arguing and fighting, and my mom throwing something at my dad. And that was one of my earliest probably memories of my childhood. Wow. And they divorced shortly after that, if they weren't divorced already.
Okay, so in a divorce, and I don't know this because I haven't experienced it, right? But I hear that sometimes kids have a tendency to maybe cling more to one parent versus the other. Did that happen, or was it split? Was it like, dang, I don't know who to divide my time up with, you know what I'm saying? Or was it just like you were closer to one parent and it was clearly, this parent who I was going to spend more of my time with?
You know what? I when I was younger, I was obsessed with my mom. I thought there was nobody who was on my mom's level. I thought she was just the most gorgeous person. She suffered from alopecia, still does. But she had alopecia from, I mean, as early as I can remember, probably before I was born. So she used to wear a lot of wigs. And, when I was younger, I kind of looked up to her. I thought she was just so gorgeous, especially with her wigs off, because that's actually why my hair is so short. It's a number of different reasons why my hair is so short, but I always I knew when I got older I was going to cut my hair as short as possible, because I would see her shave her head all the time and then throw a wig on. It's just you're gorgeous without it though. What are you doing? This makes no sense. But she liked her wig, so live her best life and all of that. But when it comes to choosing between my parents, I was always a daddy's girl. I had a very deep connection with my dad, to the degree that I don't know what you think about spirituality and even sometimes deeper levels of that, where it's legitimately when my dad would get hurt. There was a day where he was working on our garage in the backyard and his finger got caught in one of the slats when the door came down. Wow. Yeah, and it severed his finger. I kid you not. I'm in the kitchen with my mom at the very front of the house. My dad's all the way in the backyard. This happens to his finger. I scream. My mom doesn't know what's going on. I'm feeling legitimate pain. I don't know if I felt it in my hand or where in my body I felt it. My dad comes running in, bloody ass hand. And my mom is like, what the hell was that? But that's how closely connected I've always been with my dad. And that has happened throughout life. When I have this scar on my face from when I played basketball. I got pushed into this, those vent systems where it's on the side of the wall, the real old school ones. They had the crisscross, but it was metal. Yeah, or copper or something like that. So I got pushed into one of those and it grated my face like a cheese grater. It was bad while I was playing basketball.
So it wasn't intentional. It was like an accident.
No, it was a total accident. Okay, I have the ball. They're trying to, play the game, and they push me. It just happened. Freak accident. And I just flew into the thing. My face is messed up. My dad was in there in 2 seconds. I'm in the depths of the school. Somehow my dad heard me from the furthest part of the parking lot and comes running in and takes me to the hospital. So it's been that. So there's a
symbiotic relationship, a deep connection, if you will.
I wouldn't say symbiotic, but my dad and I are very close, and we have there is a, I guess a physical level of I feel your pain, you feel mine. It's always been that way since I was born. So I'm kind of, I lean more towards my dad, but I don't have any preference for one of them above the other. It's just
a different relationship.
Yeah, a different relationship.
I got you. Okay, man. Whoa. So when you were growing up, right? I remember you telling me, and obviously you don't have to talk about this if you don't want to. Yeah. If whatever you don't want to talk about, Jada Faye, just say next, right? Okay. So this, you told me you were bullied as a child, right? And it had a lot to do with
and also, my apologies, my nose gonna be running a lot, y'all, because I got allergies and I'm cold. It's cold as hell in here, so I apologize.
If you see a little bit of snot running down, don't be judging nobody. Right, it's allergy season.
Me. It's allergy season, damn it.
So you were bullied, right?
Yeah.
And at what grade did that start? How young were you when that started?
Bullying, I would would say probably I didn't get bullied too bad. My first school that I went to, Allen Academy, was really, really it was cool. I didn't get bullied much. I'd say probably 5th grade was when I started getting bullied. When I went to Lathrop Village Academy out in Southfield. Well, technically in Lathrop Village, but a part of Southfield. So yeah, wow, that's when it got bad. Because before that, I had been in a lot of the inner city schools. That was a charter school, so the kids were very different, and the type of meanness that you experience in a charter school, I think, is somewhat different from that of a public school, in my personal opinion. Public schools is crazy too, but those kids were a different breed.
So what did they used to pick on?
Well, I had a unibrow, so I have very thick eyebrows naturally.
Wow.
They grow in like Frida Kahlo. And
someone like Anthony Davis and all that.
No, seriously, wow, they get very, 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 very thick. So I used to get bullied for that, and then I also used to get bullied for my weight for a long time. I had a very fluctuating issue with not even an issue. My weight fluctuated a lot. It wasn't an issue. I was a kid going through puberty and everything else. Also developed much faster, so I got boobs a lot faster than the other girls, which you would think would be a plus, but it wasn't. It wasn't a plus because we had to wear those, the dresses that come down in the front. They have a skirt at the bottom.
Yeah.
Those look really strange when you don't have a bra yet. They look weird. It just looks like one long stomach going from chest down. So, and then I also, for whatever reason, had a thing for like very thick framed glasses. I thought that was cool. I was like, I'm gonna get them with this one. I'm gonna come to 5th grade and they're gonna be like, wow, it was
your own unique style.
It was like, my like it was my own unique style. So those were some of the things I got bullied for. And then also I was learning about my sexuality too at that age. Around 5th grade was when I started realizing that I liked boys, but I also thought girls were really pretty. So I would have moments where maybe I was staring at something that I probably shouldn't have been staring at. It's something as innocent as maybe a girl's collarbone. And the girl's like, ugh, bitch, like, what are you looking at? Like, what is going on? And I'm like, oh, I'm gay.
Wow. Wow.
And it was a real worry.
But it was even more taboo at that time,
it was
right?
So taboo.
You couldn't like express that.
No, not at all. Because this is literally probably 2005 that this is going on. And this is at a time where everybody is like, oh no, the worst thing you can be is gay. Like, I think the don't say gay thing was happening even in the military at that time.
Wow.
So I was really uncomfortable with the idea of somebody. I felt like I was going to be found out at some point, or somebody was going to tell someone, or something terrible was going to happen where everybody would know, and then I would just be a pariah. But I was already a pariah, so it was like, girl, just be gay and a pariah.
Who were you? You crazy? Who were you attracted to first? Was it
men
was this
or girl named Kitara?
I'm talking about like between the genders. We gonna get to the first girl, but between the genders, were you attracted to men first or women?
That's an interesting question. I couldn't tell you. I think it was all around the same time.
It was the same time.
Attraction is pretty general when you start feeling attraction. When puberty is taking place, it's like everything is hot.
I got you.
The wind could blow a certain way, and all of a sudden, it's
and
5th grade.
First girl, Kitara.
It was a girl named Kitara.
Okay. Yeah. Right. I got you.
And she was so cute. And I thought she was just the best. And she was the cool girl in school. Everybody thought she was fine. And
popular.
It was very popular. Cheerleader. Yeah. Hair was always laid. Baby hairs was on fleek. It was terrible.
Did you tell anybody during this time?
I told one of my best friends at that time, her name was Leah. And we're still kind of cool to this day. We're not we don't talk regularly, but we still know of each other and stuff. We follow each other on Instagram. And I can't remember exactly how that situation went, but I know it was weird. Afterwards, it was like, oh, Janae gay. Like it was a weird
her reaction.
Situation. And not Leah so much as like, once it got around, it was weird. Okay, for me.
But she didn't react in a judgy sort of way.
I can't remember. I can't say whether she did or didn't.
And if she would, it wouldn't have been no problem. It's like at that point we're all young, and this thing isn't normal to me. I get you.
It was so taboo that I wouldn't even want to say whether she did or didn't.
I got you.
Who knows what her views are now?
But, okay, so now, right? You were bullied, pretty severely at that stage of life. As you got older and started to kind of grow into your looks and become more confident, did some of that stuff that happened as a child still stick with you?
I would say, well, the bullying, I think once I started getting into my teen years, I really just because when I was much, much younger, I feel like I can't just talk about the bullying years without talking about before that.
Oh, let's go.
Because my real, like, I know all of these are formative years, but, you know, 4th grade, 3rd grade, 2nd grade, I was extremely confident. I was completely unaware that I had anything to be not confident about. You know, my dad was so encouraging. He would show up to like any little talent shows or whatever with his camcorder and everything else. So I was unaware that I had something to be embarrassed about until somebody told me.
Wow.
You know, it wasn't like a thing where I felt innately, you know, less than because I was a bigger girl or because I, you know, had weird boobs that were growing in too early and didn't have a bra for yet or a unibrow or anything like that. I just thought these things were a part of just how I existed. Like, this is the way that I present to the world. I'm just this, you know, person in a body, or I guess a soul in a body just experiencing life. Like, it wasn't anything crazy to me at that age.
It was like, this is a normal, because everybody, I think, has an, you know, I guess a story of being bullied or bullying somebody, right? But again, it's more so dependent on the person with respect to how it affects us as we get older, right? How we process it. So yeah, but it's,
and I did become a bully at one point.
You did? For real?
I
Wow.
did.
Okay.
It was so again, these early years, very confident, didn't know I had anything not to be confident about. Then suddenly everything is letting me know, hey, you know you're black. And you know you're a woman, and you know you're fat, and also you don't have the best body, and your boobs are kind of weird because I mean the only reference you probably have at that age is porn, which is like, my nipples don't look like that, girl. They ain't grown in yet. They haven't grown in, you know. But after, you know, getting bullied for long enough, and once, you know, I did come into my looks around 7th grade, I became a little bit of a bully. I bullied one girl, and it was a very quick process when I realized, like, oh, this ain't it for me. Because I finally was in with the cool crowd for a little bit. It was like the people who were cool and popular or whatever were inviting me to their table at lunch. And I've always been a very funny person, so I like to make jokes and whatnot. But I made one joke at a girl's expense. Wow. Diamond, if you're out there, I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry for this, but she was also and by the way, neither me or Diamond were necessarily fat by the definition of fat, but when you are young and all the other girls are stick thin, when you're like any type of thick, and I know I look very tiny right now, but when I was at that age, I was thicker, and Diamond was thicker as well. And it almost felt like now that I was in, I got to make sure I stay in, and I got to make sure that I say these little, you know, I got to be funny and I got to be kind of mean because this is how these girls operate. And so there was one day where I said something very mean to Diamond just for the sake of like, because she also didn't like me very much either. It wasn't just like a bullying case where I'm just like, I hate you, you see, like not like that. We had a little bit of a cadence that wasn't very, like the rapport was rude regardless.
No matter.
But
you just providing good context here. It's not like you, right.
The rapport was rude regardless between me and this girl because she had a thing for my boyfriend.
Who? Man.
But let me tell you this, though. I called this girl fat. I made fun of her hair because her hair was really short and she would pull it into a ponytail. Made a joke about how she couldn't slick her hair back into a ponytail because it was so short. She might as well just wear it out. And she went ahead and fucked my boyfriend in the janitor's closet.
In the janitor's closet?
And got them both expelled. And I never saw him again. And I found out in front of the entire school because they had to call an entire, like, you know, what are those things called? Where they call with all the students, like they bring you all into the gym.
Yeah, it's like they got to make an announcement. I don't even know what the right. We'll just call it an announcement.
Yes,
yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's like this emergency announcement. They bring all the 6th grade,
and on the intercom they say everybody report to the auditorium. You didn't even know it wasn't planned. It just happened impromptu. Yep.
And this is how I'm finding out that not only, you know, they didn't say what students at the actual announcement, but once we go back to class, we realize who's not there. You know, so at the announcement, you know, this thing happened, sex and whatnot. This is not allowed. Do not do inappropriate things in janitors' closets or underneath stairwells or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Or it will result in expulsion, like just making it very clear that this can't become a pattern, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, ooh, who did it? I'm talking with my friends and all the mean girls and be like, oh, who was in here fucking in the damn janitor's closet? Get back to class, and who's missing from their desk? Oh man, you gotta blank out her last name.
Oh man, okay.
Diamond.
Yeah.
and my boyfriend Jeffrey.
Damn, Jeffrey.
And I'm like,
yeah.
And I had a thing for Jeffrey, man. I thought Jeffrey looked like Jamie Foxx. This is when the Unpredictable album had dropped.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I got one.
Yeah,
I got, and man, I was crushed. Everybody was like, no, Janae, your boyfriend.
And he did something pretty unpredictable.
Unpredictable as hell.
Yeah.
Yep. And I was like, I will never believe a girl again because she will fuck my man.
Yeah.
And she will steal him away. I never saw him again. That was it for me and Jeffrey. And,
damn. So okay. So that was Jeffrey your first serious relationship?
Well, you know what? I had a boyfriend before that named Kevin, which was hilarious. Because we lived in the same complex.
I got you. Yeah.
Such a little ridiculous relationship. I'm sure he's doing well now. His mom probably still lives in the same complex to this day. But yeah, like that was my first relationship, and Jeffrey was my second relationship.
I'm gonna ask the question now. Have you ever had a relationship with a woman?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. One relationship, or I'm talking about serious relationships.
Yeah, I've had multiple serious relationships with women. I dated one woman for 6 years, who is now transitioned. They're male, and he's great. Like really, one of my best friends to this day. And I dated another woman for a little while. It was more casual, and we're still really good friends to this day as well. So it's just
Now I got another question. Is there a difference, right, in terms of like pros and cons versus dating, one gender, your experience versus the other? Or is it more like, nah, I don't really see it like that. It's more of a fluid thing and people are people. Like, are there clear differences?
You know what? If you would have asked me this question, last year, for example, I probably would have had a little bit of a different answer. I think it depends. I really do think it depends on the person.
Okay.
But at the same time, there is a sort of familiarity when you are dating the same sex where you understand how the body works and like you have the same body, like you have everything is the same. So you kind of, and this is, not including like if you have a chronic disability or illness, obviously that changes things a lot. But considering about, like, able-bodied,
menstrual cycle, all of that stuff,
like we can understand it. We can relate on those topics. We can be understanding of those topics.
Because some guys, or most guys, or a lot of guys are very apathetic. They like, why are you tripping on me? And they can't understand because they don't feel that. Right.
Extremely. And then it's also on an emotional level, I think. And again, the reason why I say last year I probably would have had a different answer is because it really depends on the sensitivities of the person, because there was this level of sensitivity that you experience with another woman that you may not necessarily have, the opportunity to experience with a man. But having gotten to know plenty of men, whether mostly as friends, but even like more recently, someone I know like more on an intimate level that's like extremely sensitive. And I find myself sometimes like gender literally dissipates into the atmosphere or something, because I'm like, this man embodies so many different characteristics. Like he perfectly embodies both feminine and masculine energy in a way.
And that's highly possible because people almost think that men are just like solely masculine, and we have a lot of feminine characteristics too, and it also depends on the person in terms of the level of femininity that might like one man might possess versus the other man or whatever. So I do understand that for sure, because I know when me and my wife got together, I was extremely emotional.
Oh, you were emotional
and irrational with respect to certain things. Okay. She is the more cool, calm, and collected one, but I grew up in a house, full of women, and I didn't necessarily have a male or patriarchal presence, a constant presence to really teach me how to manage those things and stay cool, calm, and collected in the midst of a storm. And obviously I've had to develop that as I've gotten older, right? But I'm just saying it's highly possible. I remember Bridget was having a conversation with my sister, and she's real. My sister was like, how did you, put up with that? Because I grew up, I know how he is. How did you put up with him early on? She's like, yeah, he would act like he would handle our arguments like a woman a lot of times. And I didn't like that. And she said that to my sister. And I was like, damn, she right. I was, you know what I'm saying? And I had to learn how to have control over my emotions. And that's kind of a thing. And I think with women, more so, women are more emotional, right? But Bridget is the anecdotal case where she's not. So again, I hate when people try to just make it exclusive to one gender, saying that, oh, men are just masculine or women are just feminine. No, you got
'Cause
some
it's
women
not
that got a
true.
little bit more masculinity than
Yes.
feminine. Yeah, right. I got you. Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And when you find something where the two, like, it's really like, it is an experience to meet a person that can fully embody both of those things at the same time.
Yeah, that's when you really
it's
hitting on all cylinders, kind of, right?
Right,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like, how are you? And then I'm very blessed to be around like the community that I have in Los Angeles specifically. Is, and I have like, knowing you out here, and even June, and like numerous other people. I have my friend Niles, who also embodies these characteristics. Y'all don't, I don't know if y'all realize it or not, but like, I meet so many men, and even my tribe back home, that can embody both of these things, and they can be so emotional. And also, I do want to mention,
And it doesn't
like,
make him any less of a man. It's like, yeah.
it doesn't make them any less of a man, and more importantly than that, it actually, I think, makes you more of a man to be able to be that in touch with your emotions and with both your feminine and masculine energy. And I think that like the conversations around feminine and masculine energy are really being like railroaded right now. Like, it's being used in a way that really, like, oh, femininity is taking bubble baths and doing your hair and getting your nails done. It's like, no, femininity is like real self-work. It's sitting in the mirror and doing shadow work. It's talking to your inner child and learning how to communicate with them, so you're responding instead of reacting, and you're in your body and you're breathing and thinking about how you want to respond to things. And the same thing can be said for masculine energy as well. It's a lot of different dynamics at play with how you choose to present yourself in this world.
Yeah.
And
well, I think that interchangeability is important in a relationship. Like, because sometimes Bridget might be more masculine with respect to certain things, decisions we make with our kids or whatever. And sometimes I have to balance that out, right? With, some feminine characteristics or qualities, and then sometimes she'll be on the feminine side, and then that's where my masculinity has to kick in. Some people think that it's like, no, the man is always supposed to be masculine and the woman, but it's not like that. We're complex. So I think being able to have that interchangeability, and like you said, tap into both sides when
that duality
when need
or
be,
maybe
is important.
you know what, dual, that I think interchangeability, what you said, is better, because duality implies that there's only two different ways of gender.
Shit.
And
She's
it's
an intellectual.
not.
This is one thing y'all don't know about her. She reads. She's an intellectual, and she's an extremely deep thinker. On the way here, we in the car, I'm asking her questions, deep questions, right? And she already knows where I'm going. So she's not answering that question, not just that question. She's answering the next three questions that I have. So that's one thing that if people don't know that about Jada Fade, that's who she is. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I try. I do be reading. I be reading from time to time.
So you, as you got older, graduated from high school, and obviously you could have went to any college you wanted. You could get any degree you want because you possess that ability, right? But you didn't want to take the traditional path of just, going to school and becoming a nurse, this, that, and the third. You probably always knew you had a knack for entertainment, right? Or no? When did you find that out?
So when I was much younger, I really wanted to, do movies and TV and all of that stuff.
Yep.
I was really excited about it. But I also, there are two different parts of me. There's a part that believes, because I saw my mom work. Like, she was a hard working woman. She still is to this day. I don't want to say was in like a, past tense
like she
thing.
used to be. Yeah,
right.
Right.
But she was very hard working. I saw her working at Kmart Corporate. I saw, like, I had this experience where it was Bring Your Child to Work Day. And I got to go in and see her desk and see the picture of me and my sister on the desk. And I remember that. And I was like, wow, this is what I want.
I gotta bring I just had a day like that, and I didn't even bring my. Now I'm gonna bring them to the next one. Go ahead.
Because we remember that stuff. It stays in the back of our mind. And it was something so joyous to me about going into an office, seeing my mom's desk, and seeing me and my sister on the desk.
How proud she was.
Right.
Wow,
like that really like switched something in my head. So for a long time, even though I have this creative mind, I have this creative mind where I'm like, oh, I want to be an entertainer and da-da-da-da. My mom taught me very early on that complacency was the worst thing that you could have, and that it was also maybe not the smartest idea to put all of your eggs in one basket, especially as it pertains to creative endeavors. Like, you can have your creative endeavors. My mom is a writer. She's a poet. She probably, if she wanted to film, would be excellent at it. She could write books if she wanted to. So as she's explaining to me like this path to creativity versus this path to, you know, having a 401k, and, you know, like, you want your retirement fund, and you want to be able to send your kids to college, and you want to be able to have money for a house and a down payment and things like that. And sometimes the lead into your entertainment career can't necessarily be just struggling artist if you want those same goals as well. So her whole thing was, do the job to pay for the dream. And then at some point the job will be useless because the dream will pay for itself.
Gotcha.
And that was always the kind of route that I took.
Versus like, oh, I'm gonna just struggle my way to,
right,
you know,
which I
bringing my
respect.
dream to fruition, right? Yeah, but if you possess other abilities, and clearly you do, then why not, you know, get a job, live kind of comfortably, and let that fund your dream? That's what you're saying.
Yes,
I get that.
100%. Because, but this is the thing, I've seen it happen both ways. There's, you know, this guy
There's
out
no
in
one
LA.
right way. Yeah, I got
right.
you.
But I think for me, the struggle was always because I had that in the back of my mind. Even when I'm doing well financially, totally off creative endeavors, it's always this little voice in the back of my head saying, but you ain't got no health insurance. You know, like, you ain't got no health insurance, sis. You don't have a 401k. You ain't, you know, like, it's that you don't have even sometimes you don't have a time clock to punch into. Like, you don't have to punch into work every day. There is a amount of freedom with that. Yeah. But there's also a certain amount of, like, I don't know if the word would be subjectivity. Is that it? I don't think that's the word I'm looking for.
There's a bit of freedom, but there's also, it almost feels like you're
a purgatory.
Of sorts. Right. Like you're a slave to this
feeling of freedom can at times be a crutch. Because I'm so free that I don't have to wake up today and work. Yeah.
I get it. It's almost like you're escaping responsibility, so to speak.
A little bit. That complacency. That fear of complacency that my mom instilled from a young age pops up all the time, where I'm like, nah, I gotta get up. Gotta edit. Gotta film. Can't just sit here for too long now. Yeah. Like, I know I need rest, but at the same time, like, let's be a machine for today. Yeah. And it's healthy, but it's unhealthy, but it's so many other things. So I'm still learning my way in that respect.
Shit, that's so dope, because, you know, most of the people today, or most youth or whatever, folks that are in their 20s or clearly younger than me, because I'm, you know, late 30s or whatever. But they take on a nihilistic approach to life, and they don't necessarily aim to pursue things that are meaningful or that will add meaning to their life, because that's associated with taking on more responsibility, you know, and that's not you. Like, even ever since I met you, you didn't necessarily shy away from the responsibility, being responsible and trying to be forward thinking and thinking about how can I do this to make sure I have insurance or to make sure I'm able to pay my bills and so on and so forth. You weren't that type of person that was just purely out here chasing cardinal pleasures. It's like, no, I need to be smart about this.
It has to be a strategy behind it, for sure.
That balance, yep.
Yeah.
And that's what your mama instilled in you.
Very much so.
Dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I really
love
like
my
that
dad,
a lot. Yeah.
But that I didn't get that from him. My dad is very much so the traditional, worked at Chrysler for, 25 years or so. Yeah. So he, like, I got other things from my dad, and my mom was very, like, how you talk about how Bridget is kind of with, like, the emotionlessness and sort of, that's not my mom, but like, I can imagine Bridget being the type of mom that's like, don't get complacent. Yeah. And make sure you're focused. And like, all of those
She do that
things.
With our kids. She be on it. You know what I'm saying? So okay. So now you ended up going to college, right? And what did you study in college?
So initially I went to Columbia College, Chicago. First I graduated from a non-Detroit public school, which was a bad thing because for the entirety of my high school career, I'd been working towards the Detroit Promise Scholarship. The Detroit Promise Scholarship is a promise that when you graduate from high school, if you keep a certain GPA, you get accepted to any college in Michigan. And not only that, but you get a full ride scholarship to every college in Michigan. Yeah. So when I got expelled from my high school for planning a riot, because our textbooks were too old, and somebody decided to hit somebody upside the head with a 2x4, which was not my business. I was not involved, but somehow, me trying to do something for the community got, mixed up. So now,
you were like a social justice warrior at a young age.
Very.
I got you.
And that's also my mama, because she's putting me on, Tupac Shakur and Asada Shakur. And she's, like, she'd had all those books. I'm reading A Rose That Grew from Concrete very young. And there are some very monumental things that I have taken into my psyche and taken on as my responsibility because of books like that, or even reading Asada, for example, very young. I was like, oh, I'm about to be out here. Angela Davis said that y'all got us fucked up.
Yeah.
And we supposed to have new books.
Yeah,
so I plan a walkout, and it's supposed to be peaceful, and everything goes down, so I get expelled from my high school. Now I can no longer go to any Detroit public school at all. Like, they don't want to take me. So I have to go to a non-Detroit public school. I lose my scholarship. I had a 4.1 GPA when I graduated. No more scholarship, though. So I'm like, shit, I can't go to any of, the Michigan colleges for free now. I didn't get the scholarship. And I'm not thinking at this age, girl, just apply for financial aid. Like, it's not an option. So I ended up just saying, well, if I'm going to spend a lot of money, regardless, might as well spend it where I really want to spend it. I go to Columbia College Chicago in Chicago, Illinois. And I went for advertising initially, and then I changed it to education, and then, early childhood education, because I wanted to work with children, and it was a number of reasons why.
I could see that. Yeah.
Like I just thought that would be really fun, and advertising seemed so like pessimistic in many ways. I was like, oh, this isn't as fun as I thought it was. Like, I thought I could make commercials and billboards and stuff. Like, this is shitty. So like, it's so much more behind the scenes than that. So I switched to early childhood education, and then one day I'm in one of the bathroom stalls in the school, like in one of the, I think I was like on Roosevelt or something like that. It's one of the parts of the college, one of the buildings. And they had this basement area that was really cool. It was like a setup. It reminded me of Boy Meets World, that room that they go to.
That's my TGIF, right? I used to love it. I think it was one of the TGIF shows, right? Boy Meets World,
TGIF?
no?
I wouldn't know.
Anyway, I loved it because it had that little girl with the he had curly hair, or she had, but anyway, they was in love with each other. Topanga
and Corey, yeah.
Okay.
So it was very similar to that meetup place that they had, like you got to go down the stairs and stuff. And so I'm in one of the restrooms, and somebody came into the bathroom and cut the lights off. And they, like, something happened. It was terrible, and I decided to go home. I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm going to go back to Michigan where I feel safe because this has traumatized me. And I'm going to just go to Michigan State University and hope that they give me money.
Yeah.
David, nobody in my family that I knew of at that time had any information for me about college. So when I get to college and I'm at Michigan State, because Columbia was different, I didn't have a meal plan there or anything like that. I just had to buy groceries and figure it out. I get to Michigan State. I don't know that, one, I do have a full ride, and two, they pay for all my meals. Like, I can go to any, lunchroom on campus and go eat. I'm sitting there counting my pennies trying to get ramen noodles, not knowing that they got steak and shit in these damn cafeterias, and I'm just walking around starving for the longest.
You had no clue, though. You didn't know.
Because I started in January, so I didn't have that, the student like introduction,
right?
They do when you get
in the
there
very beginning. Yeah, right.
So I didn't get none of
that.
You
had to catch it. You was almost like jumping onto a moving train already.
Right, starting in the damn cold ass spring semester in Michigan. So my goofy ass walking around hungry for who knows how long, probably like 3-4 weeks.
You said goofy.
No, seriously, because once I finally went to the cafeteria, I was like, I get this for free?
Damn.
Y'all got all these damn cereals?
Damn.
I ain't never ate like that in my life. I
the
learned
Frosted
about
Flakes,
asparagus.
the Fruit Loop boxes, and you ain't, asparagus. None of that.
I learned about asparagus for the first time. I didn't even know it was a vegetable.
Damn.
I was like, wait a minute. This is different, So,
So anyway, Michigan State, and then at some point you ended up transitioning and moving to LA, right? What happened? When did you make that decision? Michigan
State was super racist, and one day I had to work. The one condition of my full ride was that I had to do a work study program. In the work study, they had me being a janitor. So I was cleaning up on campus a lot. And people were really shitty. Like, I would be pushing one of those big burr-ass, like, trash cans around campus or whatever in my little sad-ass trash can pickup uniform that they make all the poor kids wear. And people would be throwing shit at the trash, like, trying to, like, basketball type shit. Like, ooh, I'm just throw this fucking shake and try to get it.
Don't even care if it hit you or not.
Hit me in the chest or some shit. And I'm like, bro, this sucks.
Wow.
So eventually I'm, sitting in the lunchroom with the rest of the janitors and stuff. And they had an actual janitorial staff and a few students, but most of them were adults. And one girl decides to bring up a video of a trans woman. And she's like showing everybody the video. You know, this is a girl. You think she's pretty? Like, she's trying to test people. Like, you think she's pretty? And they're like, yeah, she's pretty. It's a man. You know, like doing shit like that. And I was like, no, actually, she's not a man. She's a woman, and you're misgendering her, and it's shitty. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it starts to become a whole argument. And the other people who are also there, and these are no longer just students. These are actual like janitorial staff that are probably in their 40s, 50s, and 60s now, getting into this argument as well. It ended up getting so bad that it got physical. And at that point, I'm like, I gotta go. Like, this is disgusting. I ended up, like, the school fired me because they felt as though I was the one who had initiated this conflict in the first place. It didn't matter that I felt as though it was, like, unreasonable, discriminatory, and all those other things. I had a phone recording at the time that they purposefully deleted from my phone. I handed it to, I don't want to say it was a dean of students or something like that, but they had me meet with someone because they were doing an investigation into it at this point, because I had been fired by my boss that day. And they were trying to figure out if they fired me rightfully so, because they lied and said that I just walked off and I just left without them firing me or anything like that. So they're trying to investigate it and everything else. And I hand them my phone. I'm like, I have a recording of this conversation and them telling me that I'm fired and everything else. I hand it to him. He deletes it right in front of me. Right in front of me. And this is not at a time where I had an iPhone. I was still very much so poor in every capacity.
So you probably had like a Nokia or something like that. Yeah.
I think it was a Nokia, honestly. Or one of the, I don't know what type of phone I had, but I know it wasn't an iPhone. So he deletes it or whatever. He's like, and looks at me, and I look at him, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, I'm in hell.
Yeah.
So I need to get the fuck up out of here. It was like one of those Get Out moments. Like a Jordan Peele movie like or some shit. Like, if I ever write a movie and I try to get Jordan Peele to, like, it'll probably be about a black kid on a predominantly white college campus.
You shouldn't even have to. Why you put that out? Jordan Peele? What?
Hire me. I have stories. Please. But yeah, so I was like, I gotta get the fuck on out of here. And I went to Los Angeles. I was like, you know what, I want to be a writer. I met this guy that did writing out in LA, and he's telling me about how it actually is a lucrative business. And it's not just, you know, some little fun shit that he does on the side. Like, you can make a real career out of writing. I didn't know that. So I was like, let me go to LA and try my best. I'll go to college out there and just see what happens. And lo and behold, I get out there, and that doesn't happen. I don't go to college. I start writing for people, and then
at this point, you don't have a social media presence at all.
Not at all.
How did you get from, okay, now I'm in LA, I'm writing, I'm deciding, hey, I don't want to really go back and further my education at this point, to now becoming this person who has 100K followers? How did that happen?
That happened because my initial relationship when I got out to California, he was a writer, and he was very funny, and he worked in that YouTube space. I didn't know that they made money from YouTube until I met that person. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. We ended up breaking up. A lot of hoopla with that situation that I won't go into. But once we broke up, I was like, well, what am I going to do? And I always had jobs. I had been working at multiple different companies.
Blavity, I know you worked there, right?
I worked at Blavity for a little while, which was an experience in and of itself.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it was different. But
I know it had something to do with some In-N-Out burger. That's what I remember.
Yes, In-N-Out burger. Absolutely traumatizing. But yeah, so I started writing more often, and I wanted to work with different influencers, and I got introduced through a friend of mine, Von Roberts. He's a comedian. He introduces me to Jay Snow, who's another one. Shout
out to Von Roberts.
Yeah, Von Roberts he's a real one. So he introduces me to Jay Snow. He's like, listen, Janae is a young writer. She wants to write. She wants to produce. She wants to direct. She wants to do all these things, and I think she'd be great at it, and you guys should know each other. So Jay Snow or Jared, he's like, well, you know what ideas do you have? Do you want to write something together? And da-da-da-da. We start working on stuff that ultimately came to be his short film Flawed that he put out. Wow. Which is doing really, really well. And he's like kind of circling that around now, which I hope that gets picked up. Because it's about a black man with sickle cell who also wants to be a comedian. It's dope as hell.
Yeah, I haven't heard that story before.
It's really good. Yeah. So me and him start working together. I'm writing with him, learning more about that. And he introduces me to other influencers. And people are finding out about me now. And they're like, oh, this girl can write. She's really, really funny. You should kind of get up with her and see if maybe she can punch up some jokes for you or do a video for you or da-da-da-da. She's doing things a little differently. And I start working with those people, and then more eyes get on me. And then Big Ja reaches out to me.
Damn. Yeah, that dude is hilarious, man.
He's cool as hell. And actually, I can't remember if I reached out to him or if he reached out to me, but I believe he reached out to me. He's like, hey, you're funny. Do you want to be in a video?
Shout out to Big Jai.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm going to go into other things that his team has done for me because it's insane.
Wow.
But he reaches out to me. I do a video with him, and now it's done. It's like, oh, okay, who's this girl with the fade? And da-da-da-da-da. People are following me on Instagram.
Because that was the appeal, though, right? Because it's like, wait, well, obviously you were pleasing to the eye to all of the folks who were watching the video, but you had the coldest fade. That was colder than most dudes out here, so that was a part of the appeal, right? That's what made you different.
A little bit, yeah. I think a little bit.
I don't remember nobody else having no fades and being funny like that and being beautiful, right? So yeah.
Thank you. And once I work with Big Jai, he kind of puts me on. He's like, people getting paid for this. This is the real thing. I'm finding out from other people. People get paid from YouTube and Instagram and everything else. So I'm like, why in the fuck am I just like writing? I need to start like being in my own content because I'm writing for other people. I'm being in their content.
And it's not necessarily doing anything or a lot for you, right?
Well, the collaboration was resulting in me building my following up. Like each person that I worked with, if they had a large following. Say,
right. Yeah. I get you.
So those people are coming to my page. But when they come to my page, they're not staying long because I don't have my own content to show.
I got you.
And this is really important for anybody who's interested in any type of social media.
Drop this gem. Drop this gem real quick.
Like create your own content. Even if you're collaborating with really, really big influencers, really, really big celebrities, actors, whatever the case may be, whatever it is that you do, even if you are a realtor working with other realtors from time to time and collaborating with them in some way, make sure that you have content on your page that you can also, when people come to you, they are going to gain value from that as well. Even if it's just a laugh or even if it's just this is my open house. It needs to be on your page. It needs to be readily available for them to actually consume. Otherwise, why are they going to stay? So I needed to do that. And that's what I started doing. I was like, I'm going to make my own videos. I don't care if I embarrass myself and everybody thinks I'm stupid or it's not funny. And the first one took off and after that it was done.
Okay. So now you taking off, you gaining all this momentum and now you decide to move back home at some point.
Yes.
Right? That's where we met actually. But you decided to move back home. What made you decide to do that when you was gaining all this momentum there in LA?
My dad was getting sick and I was worried about that. But also, more importantly, I think I had reached a point, and this is after Blavity and after the trauma of the In-N-Out fry and burger situation that I won't go too deeply into. But those of you who work at Blavity, y'all know what happened. Y'all know what happened. We won't mention
no names or nothing, but y'all know what happened.
No names. And you know who you are, Miss Ma'am. I know you remember, and I know you remember me. Hi. But after the trauma of that situation and my brother's death as well, because this was around that same time, I was like, I need to be around my family. I should be home. Like I don't have a job.
That's
the
hard thing about being away too, is that every time when I lived in LA, when I would come home, you see your family aging gracefully and you feel like, oh, I'm missing so much of this time or whatever. So I understand where you're coming from. So you come home, you're like, man, I can't pay my rent like that out here, and it's getting hard. Plus, I want to be around my family because they have these illnesses. I just lost a brother. I don't want to necessarily miss out on these precious times. That's what drove you to come back. But then you get back here, and you realize, because you had this conversation with me, you said, man, I thought that I would be able to build a tribe here. I thought that I would be able to be just as effective or productive as a filmmaker here, but it's not the same because the industry is out there. And that's ultimately what made up your mind to go back, because you couldn't get that same fulfillment artistically out here that you would be able to get out there.
And it's changing now. It's changing now. Okay. Because people out in Detroit are some of the most talented people in the world.
Facts,
and I think I didn't spread my wings enough while I was in Detroit. If I can be completely honest, the tribe that I felt I couldn't build here was my fault. I wasn't going to the
accountability.
Yeah, like there are people here. Like you can find my friend tells me all the time, network across. You're not trying to network up. I was trying to network with everybody else. I'm hitting up Lena Waithe and Lena is kind enough to respond. Just like, girl, I can't do much for you, because I'm doing my own shit. Network across. And out here, it's more than possible to do. And that's proven just from yesterday. I was working on a movie out here. I'm meeting so many people that are extremely talented. And they're all here in Detroit. And that's just that's not even a 0.0001% of the people out here with this. Like, it's June, Cherie, everybody. Like, it's out here. You can build a tribe, but I was not spreading my wings wide enough at the time.
Well, also that's, your comfort zone was out in LA too, with respect to creating art, and then you get out here and it's like uncharted territory. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Not with respect to creating art.
No,
I would say that I had more of a tribe here in respect to creating art. Yeah.
So what made you go back to LA?
Influencership. Influencers. The collaboration of, you're going to be in my video, I'm going to be in yours. You're going to benefit from my audience, I'm going to benefit from yours. I did not have that in Detroit.
So before I was all mad. I'm like, I can't believe she left me and June and, Fatima and everybody. But when you just brought up that reason, I understand now. So now I can let go of that hurt, that pain that I experienced. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, man. June, and shout out to June Shelton. He actually, we were getting ready to film my project, which is Project 8, and we were looking for this person to play opposite of him, somebody that he was dating. And June was like, "Hey, man, this girl right here, Jada Faye." He sent me the Instagram, and I'm looking at the followers. I'm like, man, she ain't gonna do this. He said, "Bro, she live out here." I said, "Wait, she live in Detroit?" He was like, "Yeah." So then I meet you, right? Because of course I'm trying to figure out, like, what's the appeal? How did this person amass this many followers, this, that, and the third? I got it instantly, because again, you have that it factor and people are just drawn to you. The other thing is that not only did you want to do the project, but you were gracious enough to help me craft the character, help me update the character. And that's the reason why I think the filmmaker here, you're doing a film now, that's why she's back in town. Of course, that's why he hired you, because you're instantly going to add value to the project. You're not just going to play the character, but you're going to enhance the character, because she's bringing her filmmaking skills. She's bringing her writing skills. She's bringing everything, even the visuals. I've done skits with Jada Fade, and literally she'd come back, look at the take and be like, no, see, you got to... You know what I'm saying? When you start seeing people do this, I'm like, no, she ain't just no actor. She's a real filmmaker.
Thank you.
Anyway, you did the project, and you were gracious enough to let us use your space. You did whatever was needed in order to make that project
100%.
work. And you were a real person. Like, the success, the followers, none of that stuff got to you. So that's why it was a bit of a loss when I found out you were leaving and going back. Because I'm like, damn, this person right here.
Season.
It's almost like you feel like, it's like Kyrie Irving getting ready to leave Brooklyn. He might go to LA. I'm like, damn, now she about to go to the team that, you know what I'm saying?
Listen,
because Detroit got to win when you came back, because you brought all of that stuff you learned to LA back. But I understand why you had to go back.
Listen, we gonna do something with the knowledge that we both have out here with
all
this.
Right. Yeah, this is a contract.
Yes, y'all see it. Remember, I said it. Promise you that much. Hey, June. I didn't even know he was over there.
June is behind the scenes, y'all. Yeah, he the one who connected us. So shout out to June.
Yes, but no, seriously, I want to be very clear in this, because it's cancer season. You're about to make me cry, because I would have never, if I.
It might be the allergies though.
It's not. Okay. It's not. I promise you. I would have never known that you thought it was like a leaving y'all scenario, in like some sense of like, I couldn't find a tribe here artistically. Like, it couldn't be further from the truth. It has been for a very long time absent in LA for me. It was literally just an
influencership.
YouTube is different. The way that you grow is genuinely because you know that this person has a solid following. You do as well. They can benefit from yours. You can benefit from theirs. It's similar to the music industry, honestly, when they do collaborations or somebody does a feature on somebody else's track. But that's not the same as artistically. I fuck with y'all. Like, it's not.
And I felt that. And I feel it today. Yeah. The fact that you here. You only here for 3 days, and you still came by here twice to show me love.
I was show the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because it's, when I say that it left a hole, like the two things that we did while I was out here, something about my boyfriend is smarter than me.
And the head thing.
And yes.
Between you and June, it was something about
I don't nut off head.
Eye of the Tiger came on, and you was like, I gotta prepare to give some great head or something like that, and that went crazy.
And so even the other one we did with Cherie and June, like those, there have, I have not repeated. Have you seen me repeat anything similar on that creative level, artistically speaking? Even the cinematography that you did since I went to LA. Honestly, don't lie.
Don't you put me on the spot?
Don't lie. No, you haven't. Why? Because there are people who love it and there are people who do it. And those are two different things. And y'all are people who love it. Yeah. So there was a huge just missing piece for me once I got to LA because and now I'm finding that tribe, to be honest with you. Like I'm finding that in LA, especially when it comes to screenwriting. And even the camera guy that I have now, Quincy, what up Quincy? Like he's dope and he loves it and he enjoys it. But a lot of the times it's people who do it as a hobby. It's not necessarily that they really, really love to do it. They care about it. Every frame is a painting to them. Like it's legitimately just, okay, I got a camera. It's expensive. I know how to use it and I want to use it.
So the influencership thing makes sense. Jordan Peterson, this clinical psychologist, says that every decision you make, there's never a perfect solution. So it's more like pick your poison. And it's always a trade-off. And it's like, I'm losing my tribe and moving back to LA, but that influencership is so pivotal and important for the progression of your career. And you went back out there. I'm sure you had some challenges in terms of just kind of getting everything back up and running, but you back. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And then more importantly, I go out there, get what I need, and I can always bring that back here.
Come on. And everybody win. Everybody eat.
Everybody eats. Yeah. And I feel safe enough to do so because this type of relationship versus the types of relationships you sometimes make out in LA, they're very superficial. People say I love you like it's saying bye or hi, which is insane. Like it's insanity to me. But
different culture for
it's
sure.
A very different culture, and you never know who truly has your best interest at heart, who actually cares about you, or who actually values what you bring to the table. That is not the same thing out here in Detroit. And everybody is so genuine. I was even telling June the other day, people on set, for the set we're on right now, genuine, kind, loving ass people. You can tell it's on their body. Yeah. Like they can't hide it. It's not a, so I just, like going to LA, it was more like, okay, let me get these numbers, and then we gonna finesse it. We gonna finesse these numbers. And I still have so many things that I want to do in Detroit, and so many things I want to do with y'all specifically. And that has never
you're gonna be bi-coastal.
There were numerous times, even with my ex, where I was like, I just wish David was out here. I know June would kill this. I kid you can ask him. I promise you. And me and him ain't even cool. Ask him anyway. He'll tell you straight the fuck up exactly what I was saying. I hope. At least. I hope he will, but I'm pretty sure he will. Like that was a constant. Like, damn, if David was out here, because I went through a lot of different like cinematographers, a lot of different DPs that didn't really know how to DP. Yeah, like they weren't DPs; they just had a camera. Yeah, and an expensive one. But
and that's the difference. It's a difference. So let me ask you this, right? Because now that you back out there and you're doing your thing and you're paying your bills, anytime a person is living in LA with that high ass rent. And able to pay their bills doing the thing that they love to do. Because now you actually got sponsorship. You actually got people who saying, hey, include my product in your stuff. And it gives you a greater sense of responsibility to make sure you're creating good art and representing them the right way. But you still got to cater to your audience who like they're thirsty for material.
And they don't want an ad. They don't always want an ad. Or if they do get an ad, they want it to be seamless. Yeah. And that's the difference again between Instagram and YouTube. Instagram, you can post an ad and it's just an ad, and maybe it won't do as well, maybe it will, depending on how you incorporate it and how seamless it is. Like I think somebody who's really good at that is Yes, I'm Pretty V. She does a lot of product placement, but she's so goofy and she's so silly, and that's such a part of her brand that you don't even realize you just watched an ad.
That's the best type of product placement, right?
Or even Anaya, the girl who sings, she had a baby and she'll be singing and stuff. I think she did some songs for like Cute and Clean Panty Wash and all that type of stuff. But you watch that and she's singing and she's so talented that you don't even realize, like, oh, you've seamlessly gotten me to buy this panty cleaner that I wasn't even thinking about until you sang this song. Yeah. I think my audience on YouTube is very similar to that strain of, audience members where they're like, hey, I want something that's good. If you're going to give me an ad, you better make it good, because otherwise I'm going to feel like you wasted my time. And it's a learning process. I feel like I'm getting through that learning curve. I have a couple people who comment sometimes. They're like, Jay, this is an ad. And I don't like it. And I'm like,
but it's only a few, right? So
well, it'll be a few, and then sometimes it'll be more. But I'm going through that learning curve of like, okay, if I do an ad, I have to make sure that it's good, it's seamless,
and that way you can live with it. And it's like, if you don't like it, then that's on you. But I did everything possible to try to create something good that you would actually still be entertained by. So I can live with that.
It needs to be able to exist as a standalone sketch, regardless of the sponsorship or product placement.
Damn, that's tough. Ooh.
It is, because you really got to think about it, and you got to think about the best way to portray it. And oftentimes it's not just product placement for something that's edible. Sometimes it's an app. Sometimes it's a perfume. Sometimes it's whatever. And, you know, especially being a Black creator, sponsorships are incredibly important. I'm just now getting to the point where I'm doing sponsorships, and I'm over, you know, 2, 3, 4 years in. And I would hope that anybody else who's doing the same type of work, they do it sooner. Because it's really going to, especially when I say being a Black creator and being a woman as well, we are demonetized far more often than any other group on the internet. Black people struggle significantly with being unilaterally held to standards that don't, like community standards at least, that other white creators are not. And this extends across all platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or even TikTok. And you see it quite often where someone says, my video got taken down from TikTok. I mean, think about the girl. Did you hear that song? It was a girl on TikTok who made this song, and she's like, I will be one of the greatest.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, she posted that on TikTok. It's her original song that she wrote herself. It became very popular to the degree that like they just used it recently at the BET Awards, and Taraji P. Henson was dancing to it. But the reason that had to happen was because TikTok had an Asian creator that sang the exact same song as though it were their own, did not tag the original creator, did not use the original creator's sound. And because this Asian person, and this is not to say that it's anything wrong with Asians. I don't want to, I'm clarifying that it's an Asian person, because let's keep in mind that TikTok is an Asian app. I'm not about to lie for y'all. Like, let's be real. Let's be real. Okay, before I get to the point. Now, TikTok is an Asian-led app, and an Asian woman or man, I can't remember, did this cover of her song, and they removed her original so that it would look as though this person created this song.
Well, isn't that like a lawsuit waiting to happen?
It is a lawsuit waiting to happen, and I think that more Black creators, oftentimes they don't have a lawyer, they don't have any type of attorney.
So that's something that people can do. Protect yourself, because you never know, something that you think is nothing may blow up. Something. So I get you.
Real quick.
Damn.
And so now it's becoming, you know, very, like, more people are realizing, like, oh, these apps are holding us to this standard, or literally taking things away from us in lieu of, like, whiter people to be able to put this, like, okay, somebody comes up with a dance, a little Black girl comes up with a dance, and then some white girl does the same exact dance, their same exact choreography that they came up with, and she's ending up on the Hollywood Reporter for what? That's not her dance. She ain't come up with it. That's not fair. But this has always happened through all of time. This is what happened to Black people, Black creatives, Black artists in general. It doesn't mean that it should exist. And I think that as a Black creator, you need to be very mindful of sponsorships, because that's money in the bag already. Like, you know, when I post this video, it don't matter if TikTok take it down. It don't matter if YouTube takes it down, and hopefully they don't, but it does matter if they take it down for your sponsorship. But don't get your stuff taken down, but it doesn't matter if they demonetize it, because guess what? I got 5K sitting here already. Like, they didn't already pay me. I did my job. Y'all want to demonetize it? Go on right ahead, boo.
Because I already got my check.
You see Black bodies in this. I've seen people get demonetized because a woman legitimately just has a figure. She doesn't even have to have any piece of skin out. She has a certain type of figure that YouTube doesn't like, so you're demonetized now. Just because you have, you know, big breasts or big hips or big thighs or a big ass, now all of a sudden they're hypersexualizing Black bodies, hypersexualizing the Black experience, and anticipating that we won't do anything about it, because thus far we haven't. But y'all about to start getting lawsuits, to be honest with you. So keep it up.
Yeah.
We're going to do a civil, what is it, a class action
on
your asses in a minute.
That's censorship stuff. I don't like it when it's not necessarily, I don't even like it on Instagram. I don't like it on Twitter. I see a lot of people just being very selective about who they choose to censor and when they choose to censor people.
Yep.
And there's something that definitely needs to be done about that, because I know that depending on how you view things, depending on what your perspective is on things, them people might have more of a tendency to be shadow banned or this, that, and there's a lot of that going on. Let me ask you this final question. Even being out there in LA, last 9 or 10 months, I can remember seeing you. And the thing about you is that you're so vulnerable and transparent with your audience. So the way that you talk to me on camera right now, the way that you talk to me in private is the same way you talk when you go live. It's like these people are your family, so to speak. And you were gracious enough to let us in with respect to the most difficult time of your life. And I can only imagine it being like one of the most difficult moments of your life. You don't mind me talking about the condition, right?
No, not at all.
Endometriosis. Did I pronounce that right? Right. And it really flared up and got out of control over this last however many months. You had lost so much weight. You're talking about acne, skin problems. You're talking about your hair texture was changing, all of these things. And as I see you now, I'm like, damn, she emerged. She was victorious. And you went through some surgeries, all of this
beat
stuff.
That case.
Yeah. How was it? Because in that sort of situation, it's so easy, probably, I would imagine, to just kind of wallow and sort of drown in your misery. But but you still emerged victorious. What was that like going through this and not necessarily even having family around to support you or help?
Yeah, I mean, my family did support me from afar. I was always on the phone with my dad or my sister.
It's different.
It's different when you have that physical support. And I really was alone. I was in the house by myself at a certain point. Not for majority of it, but for a portion of it, I was definitely completely alone. But I have a really, really good support system in LA. My best friend, when it was time. So to be clear, endometriosis is condition that affects the reproductive organs typically, but it can be found in every place in the body, and it has been. Just to be clear, like you can get endometriosis in your brain, in your eyes, in your corneas, and in really any part of your body. For me, I had it all over the place. It was in my kidneys, my appendix, my ovaries, my uterus, my even my bowels had endometriosis in them. So it's a very, very difficult disease to diagnose. On average, it takes 10 to 15 years to diagnose accurately.
Wow.
And it's usually only diagnosed via laparoscopic surgery. So they have to actually cut you open in order to diagnose it. They have to remove those cells in order to test them and see if they are endometrial cells or endometriosis cells rather. So that said, it took me about 11 years to get diagnosed. So for a long time, my pain was, I was sort of made out to be dramatic, or she's just pretending. It's not really nothing wrong with her.
For 11
she's just
years?
9 years. Yeah, 9 years. So once I get diagnosed and everything, I had this huge cyst about 16 centimeters on my right ovary. They remove it, and I think everything is normal or whatever, and it sucks, and it wasn't normal. It was bad for many years, but it wasn't as bad until last year. In around November, December, it starts like flaring up really, really badly. I'm seeing all these skin issues, and my hair is starting to fall out in chunks.
Lost a lot of weight.
I lost a lot of weight. I was probably 150 pounds, and I went down to 110 pounds at my lightest. Which was nuts for me because I'm a 5'4" woman. I don't need to be 110 pounds under any circumstance. I lost my ass. That was frustrating. Lost my titties. And I appreciate those of you on YouTube who keep commenting about it.
Well, because they going to remind you, I guess, right?
Yeah. They're like, what happened to her titties? She used to have a double D. She looking like a A. Like, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thanks for the reminder.
Right.
Yeah, I see myself every day, so right.
But to answer your question, I had an incredible support system. My best friend, when it came time for me to get surgery, was there at my house.
Let's shoot her out. What's her name?
Portia Payton. She is an incredible actress, an incredible writer, and y'all need to check her out. She has a YouTube channel and Instagram. Everything else, you'll find her on my page. I
remember seeing a dope short film she did with a chocolate brother. But anyway, go ahead. It was really good.
But Portia is awesome. She came the night before my surgery, got me together because I got anxiety. Like I got more and more nervous about the surgery. And once it was finally there, it was like I was doing everything to prevent myself from getting there on time. Which
it took courage to even show up. You know what I'm saying?
Because I was so scared. I was like, the first time I got surgery and I was crying to one of my friends, I didn't even realize why I was nervous until I was like sitting with him for a minute. And I was like, my family isn't here. Like I'm really by myself. If anything happens, the best I have is my best friend trying to figure out what to tell them.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that. I have much gratitude for that, but it was easy to get my first surgery. I was in Detroit. My dad was here. My mom was here. My sister was here. Everybody was here. I got to be the funny person in that situation. They told me it was a 70% chance I might die from that surgery, and I was laughing.
Damn.
My family was worried, but because they were worried and they were there, they were worried for me. I didn't have to worry because they were worried enough. When you're by yourself,
it all falls on
it's
you.
all on you. You gonna just be worried. So having Portia there and having my friend Samaya there and having my friend Dante there, and even the whole Tune Up Tuesday crew. We have a crew in LA where we all get together and we go over our scripts, and like people show their cinematography and photographs and poems and whatever else. And like all of them were so supportive the whole time, like checking on me, making sure like, hey, you getting surgery soon, girl. I hope you do well. I hope you okay.
That's cool. That's what's up. Yeah.
So it wasn't bad at all. And, you know, the comeback was fierce. You know, the booty is coming back. The titties may not ever come back.
Y'all better check her recent posts.
Yeah. It's coming in. So, you know, it's been great. And, you know, my skin is getting back to normal. My hair is finally getting its texture back. I found out all of that was because, you know, my ureter was having issues and my kidney was completely, like almost completely blocked.
Yeah.
Or something like that. That was causing, you know, it not to be able to filter out things properly. And that was causing real bad issues with my skin, and that was what was making my hair thin out and start to, you know, it was just a lot of shit that it was no supplement I could have taken to fix that, honestly.
Damn, man. And look at you today. You back here shooting a feature film where can I say what type of role you playing?
Yeah.
She's a cold-blooded killer in this bad boy. So a complete 180 from her true nature, which is like wouldn't hurt a fly. Weird. She would take the sweater off her back in the blizzard just to make sure somebody else stays warm. But she's killing motherfuckers in this next movie, y'all.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. But, you know, it's such an adrenaline rush when you're playing like a different person that's kind of a nutcase. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. June is in it too.
June, I can't wait to see. June is absolutely killing the game. I'm gonna get him on this show soon because he's doing so much. You know, I gotta call his assistant and be like, hey, can you just put me on his calendar so I can have a conversation with him? You know what I'm saying? He's at that point now because he's doing music, acting, all of that. So at the end of every segment, I always give my flowers to the person, but I've been giving you flowers throughout this whole damn conversation. And I know you got to get out of here because she got to be on set within like an hour and a half or something like that. So where can people follow you?
They can follow me at Jay the Fade on any platform, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of that. It's just Jay the Fade, JAETHEFADE. And, you know, if you want to also go an extra mile, you know, follow my friends as well. Follow Portia Payton, follow June Shelton, follow Dante J. Bailey. Follow, he be doing headshots and stuff too. He be taking pictures.
Dante J. Bailey.
Yeah, follow my girl, Samaya. I am Maya Joan. It's a dot in there somewhere. I think it's I am dot Maya Joan, Maya Joan, you know.
Look at
follow
that,
my
man.
friends.
She's thinking about the whole crew. This is the first person that been on this show that said, hey, follow all these other people too. Not
follow
just
my
me.
homies.
Yeah. Including David. Follow David too.
Yes.
Anyway.
Follow David. That was rude. I'm sorry.
No, they go because they watching this, so it's already,
know.
That's inherent. Yeah. But thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I look forward to having you back on here. And that's it. Good luck, man.
Thank you, David. Thank you. I'm so nervous. I'm going to learn my lines.